Shalom, greetings folks, and once again it is Taza Dog from your Best Body Ever, bestbodyever@gmail.com. And today what I wanted to actually cover with you is some shocking facts and some myths about vegans, vegetarians, and so on. You know, they claim that they live longer and that meat eaters are very unhealthy, and so on and so forth. And as for me, myself, I elect not to eat red meat, but it's not mandatory. It's just my personal choice. But I do eat turkey, I do eat fish, and I do eat chicken sometimes. So I want to discuss with you various myths, or for a better choice of words, I'm going to give you the top 10 lies about vegan diets. So all of you that's vegans, I want you to really listen to this, because many of you just became vegans because you read something and someone told you, hey, well, vegans are much healthier and so on and so forth. Well, let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at some of these accusations or claims that vegans often make. In fact, I'm going to look at the top lies about vegan diets. I'm going to discuss that with you. And if you like the video, take a few seconds, 2 seconds, and like the video and subscribe to the channel so you would actually continue to get this vital information. 80% of what you need to do if you want your best body ever is to eat correctly. And you need to know how to do that, because contrary to popular opinion, they have taught us to dig our graves with our spoons, forks, and knives, not eat correctly. So, you know, it is claimed that vegan diet has strong evidence behind it. Well, we're going to look at this. And it is said that it can make people lose weight and even reverse killer diseases. Now, I have a few friends that's vegans, and they have a gut. And you're going to understand, you know, why some of them, even though they're vegans, they're really fat, they're not really muscular. And you have some that's, you know, look rather fit. But we're going to look into this vegan diet. Now, however, vegans proponents usually don't tell you the full story of, well, why they may be healthy and so on and so forth. But I'm going to give you the full story today. Something that most of these vegans will not tell you. So in reality, this evidence that vegans have is really weak, and there is a large body of evidence that they are ignoring and are not discussing with you folks that's considering becoming vegans. So the truth is, vegan diets can work, at least for some people. It won't work for me, because I like to be extremely muscular, and I like to be, you know, pretty massive. Now, there are some, and I like to be defined, cut, lean muscle. Now, there are some ethical and environmental arguments to be made for avoiding animal foods like vegans suggest. Now, even though I personally don't agree with them, I don't agree with these, that you must avoid animal foods. In fact, I disagree with it. So, many vegans are incredibly dishonest about animal foods, and they spread unscientific fear, like mongering, to convince people that their diet is healthy. That's the truth. Now, number one, the health benefit of vegan diets are due to avoiding animal foods. That's the number one lie that vegans push. Well, let's look at it. Excuse me. Now, there are a number of studies showing health benefits of vegans and vegetarian diets. Now, the proponents of such diets like to attribute these health benefits to their avoidance of animal foods, which has not been proven. However, there are many other factors at play that vegans do not discuss with you. Now, a properly planned vegan diet consists of primarily, if you are a true vegan, whole foods, and it is often called a whole food plant-based WFPB diet. So this diet doesn't just eliminate animal foods. This is what they're not telling you, and this is vitally important. It also eliminates a number of foods that science has shown to be harmful. And this is why they're usually helpful, a little healthier, because they're avoiding these other foods that they're not telling you that they're avoiding. So, what else do vegans actually remove besides animal foods? Let's have a look. Let's have a look at it. Now, refined sugars. Causes, these refined sugars that they remove cause insulin resistance and fatty liver. So, strong links to obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. So, they're moving refined sugars, make them healthier. They're not telling you that, though. Refined grains. Refined grains, they remove them. Why? Because they lead to rapid spikes in blood sugar, insulin resistance, and weight gain. So, strong links to many chronic Western diseases. Vegans move these, but they're not telling you that either. Vegetable oils. High inflammatory omega-6 fatty acid. They increase inflammation and oxidative damage. They're not telling you this. They also remove trans fat, which are extremely harmful. Man-made fats, which is actually found in processed foods and linked to many serious diseases, especially heart diseases. But not to mention, these diets also eliminate processed foods. True vegans eliminate processed foods, which are low in nutrients and high in harmful ingredients and artificial chemicals. So I personally find it plausible that the benefit of vegan diets are largely caused by avoiding processed foods and harmful ingredients like added sugar, simple sugars. It has absolutely nothing to do with avoiding unprocessed animal foods. Nothing whatsoever. That has never been proven. So stop orchestrating the lie. Stop promoting the lie. Now, in the studies on vegan diets usually compare against, the junk food laden Western diet, not a whole food based diet like the paleo or the Mediterranean diet. The bottom line is this. The health benefits of vegan diets are likely more than not caused by the elimination of the harmful ingredients in processed foods. That's the bottom line. So it has nothing to do with avoiding unprocessed animal foods. Do you understand? Number 2. Let's look at the second myth and lie that vegans promote. Saturated fats and cholesterol are harmful substances. Well, that lie, or myth, that animal food causes heart disease still runs rampant among vegans and vegetarians. Oh, Doc, you're going to get heart disease. Well, I'm healthier than you. I haven't been to a doctor since 2001. I'm just fine. Excellent condition. Take care of yourself. Take care of your body. And your body will take care of you. So in the past 5 years, or should I say in the past few years, decades, studies have actually shown that it is false. That it is false. And experts all over worldwide are changing their mind that saturated fats and cholesterol are harmful substances. Saturated fat and cholesterol actually lead to improvements in blood cholesterol profile. They don't make things worse. They don't make things worse like previously believed. Now, how many of you could swallow that pill? I understand you've been programmed, and I'm attempting to deprogram you here. Now, saturated fats and cholesterol both raise the HDL, the good cholesterol, which is actually protective against heart disease. How many of you knew that? Now, sometimes they cause mild elevations in the LDL, but they're usually changing the LDL particles from small, dense LDL, which are the bad ones, to the large LDL. So studies have actually shown that people who have mostly large LDL particles have a lower risk of heart disease. Fact, fact, fact. Now, a massive review study that looked at the data of 21 studies with a total of 347,747 participants concluding that there is absolutely no association between saturated fat consumption and heart disease. Did you hear me? Stop promoting that lie. So, reducing saturated fats has no effect on the risk of heart disease or death from heart disease. Studies on eggs actually loaded with cholesterol, some of which actually includes hundreds of thousands of people, do not find a relationship between egg consumption and heart disease. Hey, I eat eggs all of the time. My cholesterol is fine. Now, some vegan proponents may say that these studies shouldn't be trusted because they're funded by meat, egg, and dairy industries. But that is nonsense, folks. There has been studies intensely, and is not true, is it not true, that most of the studies are industry sponsored. So the truth is, saturated fats and cholesterol were strongly demonized by vegans. The highest quality studies show them to be completely harmless for the majority of people. Stop the lies. Number 3, that vegans like to lie about, the myth: a vegan diet is only a vegan diet is the only diet proven to reverse heart disease. Lie number 3. Myth number 3. Excuse me. Now, it is often claimed that vegan diets are the only diet that's proven to reverse heart disease. You just want to eat that rabbit food and think, hey, well, I'm the healthiest person on the planet. This is an idea based on a number of studies by 2 doctors only. Dean Ornish and Cadwell Estelin, I believe the last name was. The studies did lead to impressive results, including partial reversal of coronary heart disease, supported by improvements, in patients. Now, this goes beyond just biomarkers like cholesterol. They managed to partly reverse coronary heart disease, improve stuff, and, I'll give them that. I'll give them that. But however, I don't think anything can be concluded about the vegan diet based on these studies. And let me explain why. Ornish approach, he involves a lifestyle of intervention. His patients also exercise, they quit smoking, and they do meditation. along with other health promoting things. So his diet was also not a vegan diet, but a low fat vegetarian diet. So, you know, Elsterstein study, and he only did 22 people in his study with no control group, also used large doses of statin drugs. Now, it is very clear that studies that, use drugs or exercise, and these are massive confounders, along with a diet, cannot be used to make claims about a particular diet. Do you understand? So in order to attribute the benefits of these interventions to the diet, then you would need to isolate the diet as the only variable that is different between the groups. So the bottom line is this. There are some studies showing a low-fat vegan and vegetarian diet to reverse coronary heart disease. However, these studies also use drugs or health-promoting things like exercise and meditation. So there's no proven, it has not been proven that the vegan diet alone help, cause that. Now, the China study. Vegans like to push this as well. Now, in almost every argument about vegan diet or animal foods, some vegan or vegetarian brings up the China study. The China study. Now, this is a book that was actually written by a biochemist and nutritionist researcher, T. Colin Campbell. Now, the book makes a case for animal foods in general, animal protein in particular, that, hey, that builds muscle. But nevertheless, they said that animal protein being the main driver of killer diseases like heart disease and cancer. So they're saying animal protein is what causes the heart disease and cancer. Well, bodybuilders take in large consumptions of animal protein. And they're some of the healthiest people on the planet. I'm not talking about just steroid freaks. Now, I can consider myself a bodybuilder. I just don't want to be very massive and bulky. It's nothing wrong with looking nice in your clothing or looking nice in a suit. So the case is largely supported with data from massive epidemical studies called the China, Cornell, or Oxford Project, along with a number of other studies on rats. Now, then he actually uses confusing terminology to make it seem that the rat studies using isolated proteins like casein have anything to do with the diet and cancer in humans. Now, the book has been criticized by a number of people who have analyzed the findings. Now, Dr. Chris Masterjohn, he wrote what Dr. Campbell won't tell you about the China study. He criticized it. Dennis Minger, the China study, Facts and Folly, he criticized it. Dr. Michael Adays, the China study versus the China study, and he criticized it. So the findings of the China study have also been contradicted by various other studies, some of which are much more methodological quantity. So this includes a recent study from Asia, a study of 112,313 men and 184,411 women, showing that red meat consumption was associated with the reduce of heart disease in men and reduce the risk of cancer in women. Vegans, we gotta talk. So the China study, folks, is not about nutrition science. It belongs in the science fiction section of the library. Let's check it out. Bottom line is this. The China study has been thoroughly debunked by objective scientists, and there are multiple high-quality studies that contradicts its findings. its findings, should I say, of which were ignored by the author that wrote the China study. Now, let us proceed. Number 5. Animal protein is harmful. That's lie number 5 that the vegans and vegetarians like to tell. Now, it is often claimed by vegans that animal protein causes harm. And I have consumed animal protein all of my life. A lot of this is actually based upon studies in rats using isolated proteins and refined diet. Now, the results of the rodent studies, these rats, usually highly unnatural and refined diets, aren't necessarily applicable to we humans. So, in many cases, human studies on diets end up leading to the exact opposite results of rodent studies, of these rats, in other words. So this appears to be the case with animal protein. So in fact, almost every human-controlled trial on protein, both animal and plant protein, shows it to be beneficial for health. Beneficial for health. Building that bicep, baby. So studies on high protein diets, that they increase fat burning, reduce appetite, and lead to automatic weight loss. You want to get ripped? Consume your protein and stop listening to these vegans and vegetarians. So they also help promote muscle gain, lower blood pressure, improve bone and health, reduce various symptoms of diabetes. So the evidence is mounting that most people should be eating more animal protein and not less in our findings. So, the bottom line, despite the myth that, or the lie, that animal proteins causes harms, studies show that it actually leads to health benefits. This includes weight loss, improved bone and health, lower blood pressure, and reduce symptoms of diabetes. How about that one? Line number 6, myth number 6. Where am I on time? I don't want to make this run too long. That vegans like to promote. Humans are not designed to eat animals. Many vegans claim that humans are naturally herbivorous and that our bodies are not adapted to eating animals. Whoa. And this is completely false. That is a lie. Humans and pre-humans have been eating meat for millions of years. Our bodies are well adapted to meat consumption. And we are perfectly capable of making full use of the nutrients found in meat. In fact, our digestive systems do not resemble those of the herbivorous at all. We have short colons, long small intestines, and plenty of hyaluronic acid in the stomach to help break down the animal protein. Also, fact that vegans can't function without B12 supplement or B12 supplemental foods, it's also a pretty strong argument for these diets not being natural. Studies suggest that our consumption of animal foods help drive the evolution of our large brain. And our gene was actually shaped in an environment that include plenty of animal products. So what do you mean we're not designed to eat meat? So the truth is this: humans function best eating both animals and plants. Period. That's the truth. And I'm going to continue to eat meat. The bottom line, humans are naturally omnivores and function best eating the combination of animals and plants. And this is actually reflected in our anatomy of our digestive system. Line number 7. I'm not going to be much longer. Line number 7. Meat causes heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. Most chronic Western diseases are relatively new. That is a fact. The heart disease epidemic started about 1930. While 2 types of diabetes started increasing rapidly in the late 20th century. Why? Cancer has also been on the rise for many decades. Why? Vegans like to blame meat and animal foods for these health problems. You can see their videos on YouTube convincing you to become vegans and so on and so forth. But however, meat is an old food and these health problems are relatively new. Now, blaming new health problems on old foods makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So let's take a look at the health problem that meat is being blamed for and the highest quality evidence that actually examines these claims. Heart disease and diabetes. 2 studies, folks, 2 studies with 1,218,380 individuals and the other with 448,568 individuals found no link between unprocessed, I emphasize unprocessed red meat and heart disease or diabetes. Not one. Not one. Let's look at cancer. They say, well, red meat causes cancer. Let's look at it. 2 review studies. One looking at data from 35 studies and the other from 25 studies found that unprocessed red meat, again, unprocessed is the key, red meat had only a weak effect on cancer in men and no effect on cancer in women. The cancer link is probably related to the way meat is cooked. Several studies suggest that it forms, harmful, intentions when actually overheated. So it's important to use gentler cooking methods and avoid burning your meat. Stop burning your food. Keep in mind that all of these studies found a significant increase risk for people who actually consume processed meat. Processed meat. Therefore, differentiating between the different types of meats is very important. It is cardinal. It is essential. So, it is well known that processed food in general are harmful. They're harmful. This is not exclusive to meat. All processed foods are harmful. And the bottom line is this. Studies that differentiate between processed and unprocessed meats show that unprocessed red meat is not associated with heart disease or diabetes. And only weakly linked cancer in men, but none in women. Myth number 8, lie number 8 that vegans like to push. Vegetarians and vegans live longer and have a lower risk of killer diseases. That's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie. There are a number of studies showing that vegetarians and vegans live longer and have a lower risk of some diseases. Stop the lie. Stop it. Stop it now, folks. Stop it now. Why? Because these studies are plagued by phenomenon called the healthy user bias. What this implies is that vegetarians are generally more health conscious than meat eaters. They don't just eat less meat, they also more likely exercise more, less likely to smoke and drink alcohol, and they eat a lot more of fruits and vegetables than the average meat eater that's not trying to eat to be healthy. Therefore, it is impossible to claim that they are healthier because they avoid eating meat. Maybe they're healthier because of the other health-promoting things they do. So, who knows? Maybe they're healthier despite, not because of eating meat. In one study, researchers found a clever way to control for the healthy user bias. They actually recruited participants that were customers of health food stores, looking at the difference between health-conscious vegetarians and health-conscious meat eaters. Guess what? Guess what they found? Guess what they found? They found that there is no difference in the mortality or the risk of heart disease or stroke in these health-conscious vegetarians or health-conscious meat eaters. What this implies is that the reason vegetarians actually live longer and have a lower risk of some diseases is because they tend to be health-conscious people. It has absolutely nothing to do with avoiding animal foods. Stop the lie. Stop it now. Bottom line is the observation studies has shown that vegetarians and vegans are healthier or plagued with this health user bias. Studies that control health conscious show no effect. In other words, if you're watching what you eat, if you eat meat, then you'll live just as long as a vegetarian. Bottom line. Low carb diets will kill you. Another myth by the vegans. Vegans really hate low carb diets. And this is where many of you have guts. You have stomachs. Bulging out over your belt. Now, this is an understandable theory because low carb diets are almost the complete opposite of a vegan and vegetarian diet. Now, interesting enough, low carbs and low fat vegetarian diets have actually been compared in a high quality randomized controlled trial called the A to Z study. Now, this study actually compared the Atkins low carbs diet and the Ornish, a low fat vegetarian diet, in a group of overweight, obese women, premenopause women. And after a period of 1 year, their findings was as follows. The Atkins group lost more weight than the Ornish group, 10.4 versus 5.6 pounds. The difference was not statistically significant at 12 months. The Atkins group had greater decrease in blood pressure. The Atkins group had greater increase in HDL cholesterol. The Atkins group had a 29.3 milligram DL reduction compared to 14.9 milligram DL in the Ornish group. So the people in the Ornish group, these vegetarians, had trouble sticking to their diet and were twice as likely to drop out of the study, including that, the Atkins diet was actually more successful, indicating, should I say, that the Atkins diet were easier to follow. So this is actually the best study available that compare low carbs and low fat vegetarian diets. The results are clear. I just gave them to you. So until another controlled trial leads to a different result, there is absolutely no scientific basis for vegans proponents to claim that low carb diets are inferior to vegan diets from a health perspective. So additionally, many other studies have actually been conducted on low carbs diet since this was done in 2002. And over 20 randomized controlled trials have demonstrated that low carb diets are superior to low fat diets. case closed. Bottom line, it is not true that low-carb diets are harmful. The only study that properly compared low carbs to a low-fat vegetarian diet showed that the low-carb diet was much healthier. Lie number 10. Myth number 10, I got one more, then I'm done, that vegans like to promote. Vegans proponents often make it seem like they are as if there are many studies demonstrating the health benefits of vegan diet. They love to push it. You see them on YouTube and elsewhere. But there's only one controlled trial, real science, where they isolate diets as a sole variable and compare against the dietary intervention. So this study is the only one that I'm aware of. And I've looked hard all over and asked many vegans if they know of any more studies. So the actual test, the vegans diet directly. So therefore this study is the best one to accurately reflect the true health efforts of the diet. And the study was actually conducted among others by Dr. Neil Bernard and David Jenkins. And it actually compared a low-fat vegan diet to the typical diabetes diet based on guidelines of the American Diabetes Association. So the participants were individuals who actually had type 2 diabetes. Now, these were the results after 74 weeks of this study being carried out. The vegan group lost 9.7 pounds. Diabetes diet group lost 6.6 pounds. The difference was not statistically significant. Only after adjustment, statistically, manipulation, where there were small advantages for the vegan diet, for the HbA1c, so the total cholesterol. Now, no difference in weight, BMI, waist circumference, HDL cholesterol, triglycerides, blood pressure, fasting blood pressure, or CRP levels. There was no difference. So really, this is it. There are the miraculous benefits of the vegan diets in most comprehensive study on a low-fat vegan diet to date. That is the most miraculous. So it is not quite as impressive as vegan doctors make it sound in their books and their documentaries. So I want you to keep in mind that, the lead researchers are both vegans themselves. They claim that you benefit so great from these diets. There's absolutely nothing groundbreaking about these results. Studies on other diets like the Mediterranean, paleo, or low carbs have led to similar and almost much better results. So the bottom line, vegan diets is no better when you actually control what you're eating. And the last myth that I would like to discuss that vegans like to promote is that vegan diets can easily supply all necessary nutrients. And that is a lie. That is a myth. Many vegan proponents claim that that is possible to actually obtain all necessary nutrients without animal food. They claim that you can. You can get all necessary nutrients without animal foods. However, this is easier said than done. And it seems that many vegans are having problems. Nutrient deficiencies are much more common amongst vegans. Vitamin B12, 83% of vegans are deficient in B12, compared to 5% in meat eaters. B12 deficiency can actually have some serious consequences. Iron. In one study, vegetarians had only a third of, the iron compared to meat eaters. Vitamin D. Levels of vitamin D are 74% lower in vegans compared to meat eaters. Omega-3 fatty acids. Vegans have 53% lower levels of EPA and almost 59% lower levels of DHA compared to meat eaters. So, a diet that makes the majority of people who follow it deficient in critical nutrients, well, I don't know, folks. I don't know about you, but that seems like a pretty bad idea to me. And with that, I'm going to close this out. So, something for you vegans to think about. And you could stop promoting many of these lies. And many of you that was considering becoming vegans. And, hey, you may want to have a look at and decide if that's what you want to do. If that's what you want to do, then, hey, that's fine. But if you want to look good, you want to look muscular, you want to look massive, animal proteins prepared correctly is the way to go. It gives you that lean mass. Or if you elect to eat like a rabbit, then that is your choice. But I'm telling you, there's a way that you could eat properly and have your best body other. I'm Taz Doc, Taz for short, and I'm signing out. Until next time, take care, Shalom.